And we're ready to begin, and we're so pleased you're here, and we've waited for you your entire lives. And as we say to you each time, you will understand what that means today more so than ever before. Because as we also say often, we've gone out of our way to bring you so much because that's what we wanted you to understand. We wanted you to accept why you are on the earth at this time, which is why we call this session The World is Waiting for You to Accept Who You Truly Are. That is the process of your evolution. That is the process of your self-actualization, of your self-empowerment. And what we've done is given you a way to accomplish that. Now, none of you know who you're going to become when you come into this world. It is a journey, it is an adventure, but it's worthwhile when you understand what that journey entailed and why you had it, because each of you come with something of value to offer at a particular time, and this time, which we have called your restructuring, is the best one you could have chosen. Now, we understand it may have been challenging. It's been difficult for many of you, especially depending on where you might live in your world, but it's everywhere. You're having a global change, a global restructuring, as we've called it, and some of you are calling it the big split, but we're saying, well, you're the ones who are causing that to occur. And we wanted to prove it to you today because you each come into the world at a particular time to cause it to change. Because everything is about energy and consciousness. You each have formed your consciousness in different ways, but you all come in with something that's limited. And the more of you who decide that you're going to let go of the limitations because they only exist in your consciousness, you start to see a very different world, but you also experience a very different life, but you get stuck. And so our messenger had gotten stuck as well. He's a best example for all of you. And so we decided that we were going to show you. So on Friday night, when he thought he was going to have plans to go out, we said, no, we're going to make you a little sick because he hasn't had any of that in a long time, but we just did something really small. We're saying this because you each might come into these things, especially now, where you're finding these little odd things going on in your body that you don't understand, or little aches and pains, or things that you can't explain, that they have no rational reason for them to exist. And so that's what we decided to have him do. So we said, you can't see anymore. We made his eyes really red and itchy. He didn't know what was happening. That's because we wanted him to stop, as we want all of you to do, to stop and recognize how valuable you are and recognize that your life journey has brought you to this moment to do something incredible. Now, we're saying this because energy is everything, and you've gone through an energetic portal, which is why in the last several days we've had our messenger put up many messages to explain that to you, but then we went further. We told him to go into our messages and go back to 2008 because that's this particular cycle that you're all completing now. Anyone who might be on the planet, you're completing that cycle because they're energies that move just like your planets do at different times. You think of it in terms of your seasons because you can see those change, but you also have energies that move because of the changes in your planets, and this has never happened before. Now, that's always true whenever you might live, but we're speaking about this particular time in your world because you've never had this construction, this organization of planets that have happened, especially in the last several days, but for the last several years. That's what we're speaking of because we know many of you have felt the stress of it in the last several years, but we're saying it was a great thing because you wanted to change things. You wanted to live a life of abundance and happiness, and you knew that the only way you were going to get there is to move through all the old stuff. You had to let go of it. And so we've just given you a plan. Now, we understand that most of you think that things are happening in this linear time, day after day, but that's not really what's occurring. And so we decided to prove that to you because you're each shaping your world depending on what you decide to do when you live, and it's all energy. So we had our messenger go back to 2008 and find every major event, celestial, astronomical, astrology, in any kind of thing that was happening or world event, and you will see that we've given you information that would help you navigate it a little bit better. And that's called coming into alignment. And then we had him put it on the site in the advice for today. You can see it. It's called a hidden plan. That's what it is. The hidden meaning of the changes. It's the changes, and we've laid them all out. We put down the events that were happening, the information that we gave you on those days, how it was playing out in your world, and how it was playing out in your life, and how you could best navigate through it to come to a higher state of understanding of who you are. Because when you reach that place, you have this great amount of peace and happiness and joy. And that's the vibration or the energies that then you start to bring into your life, everything that you want. But sometimes you get stuck, and our messenger was stuck. Now, we will say this, and we've given you messages on this. You are meant to be unique, each of you. But then you have trouble with that because you're comparing yourself to everyone else. How could you do that? You came in as this unique being at this time to create something new. That's each of you individually and then your world collectively. But you get stuck. And so then when you get into those places where things are like there's a bottleneck happening, which is what's occurring in your world like right now, then you have an intervention of energies. And that's been these last several days. And especially with your Lionsgate, and we put up something last year that you could go back and see because we had him do a session, just a session on a short one on your Lionsgate last year that you might understand and remember there's a progression. What we mean by that, and you'll see these in the messages we put up today, where we said you could heal your life and your world because you're the ones who are doing it. And when we're speaking of healing, we're just talking about coming back together, owning who you are, bringing back all those desperate parts that you've kept separating over lifetimes. We're saying that because this is a generational change, as we've said. And so all of your ancestors are like arising and saying, please do something better than what we could do. Now, all of you aren't doing that because it takes a bit of courage. It takes a bit of self-acceptance. It's all self-acceptance, by the way, because the self that we speak about is your self that's connected to all that is, to God, to the universe, however you think of it. But we know that it's each of you. And so what we've given you is something that says all souls come into the world with worth and value. Now, you're going to see many people on your planet who don't believe that necessarily. And so it becomes how many of you will decide to believe and accept that, and it has to come through you because you've each been held back in some way. And it's all in consciousness, but it's something that you picked up along the way from your family, your ancestors, or those you have no memory of, but it's all there. And the only reason that you're having trouble or difficulty is your unwillingness to move, your unwillingness to take that next step into the higher dimension of who you can become, because there's no limits to what you can achieve. And so we told our messenger, now you can tell them all, because no one has understood what he was doing all this time. He didn't even understand it. So we wanted to show, because again, what he was able to do was receive information from us, interpret it in a way and write it down. He spent 36 years doing this, his entire life, basically, most of it. And then what did it do? It caused healing. It caused alignment. That's why we said this is about alignment. Because in most of you who come into alignment, you live a better life. You have this healing that can occur in your life in many different ways. Sometimes it's physical, but it's always going to be spiritual. And you'll see that we've given you those messages, and we even gave you a message for tomorrow. We said that because we gave it to you last year on the 10th. And we said, you are still the solution because we knew many of you would not have accepted that quite yet. So now would be the best time because the energies have changed and you can feel them. Many of you have felt them, especially maybe the last several nights where you couldn't sleep. You didn't know what was going on. Something's coming about and you're being urged to do something. That's all of you. And we've given you something else. We want you to understand it because you're not seeing it demonstrated in your world currently. And we said there's no hierarchy of souls. That means there's no one more than you, better than you. You're not better than anyone else. There's no hierarchy. You're all the same. You just do things in different ways. But over centuries, over eons, you've done something else. You've made certain people more powerful in your consciousness, or you've made them mean more, have more power. And then you each sit back then and say, well, they have all the control and we can't do anything. And that's never true. It depends on how many people in your civilization decide that they were going to own themselves, that they were going to remember their rightful place. And we're saying that purposefully, because you each have that rightful place that you're meant to become and be in this world. And again, it's about energy. They're qualities of energy. When you're depressed, when you're feeling less than confident, when you're ill many times, when you're going through all of those things, it's because you are just momentarily disconnected from your real self. This is why, again, we said your true self is what the world wants you to come to understand. It's a process, so you must understand that it is an individual process that you go through, and it depends on your soul path, your soul alignment. It's different for each of you. You don't know what that is when you come in. Our messenger did not know he was going to accept bringing in this information and becoming a mystic or a sage. And most times he didn't want to do it. And so that's what many of you are doing. I don't want to do this thing that I know I'm meant to do in my life. I know that this is in front of me, but I don't think I'm the one. You are the one. And we keep saying, why not you? You each have that much ability and power. It's just that you've been talked out of it, as we've said. And so, what we want to do today is to address that a little bit more and talk about what's going on in your lives and what you're seeing, how you're interpreting things out there. Now, again, when you go to this site and you read the messages, you will see that we use the artificial intelligence to interpret the events that were happening in your world and the information that we gave you and how it corresponded. Because you're always moving through uh, your emotions, how you feel. That's the only way you navigate your lives is by how you feel. That's an internal thing. That's your soul. Now, all of you won't think in that way. Many people won't think in that. Now, we know many of you here will, though, because you haven't made having a spiritual life that's so much strange to you. You know that there's something more. You know that you're not in your bodies forever. So why not have a great time while you're here now? And so we just wanted to give you a better way of doing that. And that's what we've done. And our messenger had to live it. Now, what we're saying is many of you have been through difficult things in your lives and you judged yourselves. We put all of this in there because we want you to let that go because it's not helping you or your world. You see, you took on certain things to move through them so others won't have to do it. That's how evolution works. And that's what you're doing now. But this is a big one. And the reason we said the United States would lead the way in this restructuring and why you're seeing the particular upheaval in that country now is because too many people are not willing to let go of what was old. And then there are many other people who are trying to hold on to what was old with rigor. And that's where your conflict comes in. So you have to decide what you're going to do. We wanted you to have more joy. That's all, because you've been through so much stuff already. You've suffered so much. You've been sad. You've been depressed. You've been all those things. And you can shift them all. And we've given you an example of that because our being has been through all of it. And we do love the idea that many of you have about your dark nights of the soul. Those are purposeful as well, and you get through them. He's had all of them. And we wanted to give you an example because many of you are willing to give up at times. Oh, my dream isn't coming true yet. I haven't done it. I haven't achieved. Well, it's maybe not time because there is a divine plan for each of you. And that's what we wanted you to know. And so, as you look at what we wrote, you can see that the information was guiding things energetically. Meaning, if you could move through some difficulty that you were experiencing in your life at the time that some planetary occurrence was to happen, you're putting energy in that can help that resolve itself. Now, what you're seeing in your world right now may not look that way. We do understand, but we tell you that you have the ability to change it all, and it is you. And we love saying that too, because many of you think that you're not that important. And you have to get rid of that because the only reason you believe that is because you've been talked out of your brilliance. That's all. And it's a generational thing. It's part of your lineage, your soul path. But now, because you decided to be on the earth at this time, this energetic time, that means that you have something within you that is so brilliant, waiting to bloom, waiting to come forth. And that's why you feel nervous at times too. And the nervousness is not because you're going to fail. We just want to say that it is not because you're going to fail. It's because you're afraid of becoming your greatness. Because you haven't experienced it yet. You don't know what that feels like. And you can't get it through your consciousness that it is you. And this is why we said everything that we have given you is about consciousness. There are many others who will use different modalities. We have used your consciousness because we know that you can accomplish anything with that. You can heal things. Our messenger was listening to a entire group of people this morning talking about all these different things that were going to heal their bodies, these different new modalities that were going to heal their bodies. Well, he did it all with consciousness, and that's with the work that we gave him. Not all of you will do that, so we don't want you to judge yourself if that's not your life path, if that's not what you chose this time. We just want you to know that it is available, and it's available for all of you. And we've said other ridiculous things that we're going to point out to you. We've said we've given you everything that could change your life and your world. And that is true because all humans operate the same way. It just depends on how many of you are going to start to operate in a higher state of understanding of who you are. That's all. It just depends on how many. And we also said not all of you will believe us because you didn't believe Jesus, you didn't believe Tesla, and you didn't believe Buddha. We just threw in those names because that's what we gave our messenger, you see, because we told him he was going to have a difficult time with this, with himself and with many others, because he was doing something that was completely new that you hadn't seen, marrying science, spirituality, and human potential. But that's what you're all meant to do, is to come up with some new way of living that could cause your life to be brilliant and so that you leave a legacy of wonder. And we're saying legacy because many of you think that you don't have that. And every soul does. You don't leave this earth without leaving some memory of who you were. We just want you to leave a great one. That's all. And we want you to have a good time while you're doing it. You have no idea that the energy of joy, how valuable that's going to be in your life and in your world during this time. Because the next several weeks, for instance, you're going to move through more changes. And this is why we got out in front of it for several days, giving you more information because we just want you to reach a higher vibration within yourself and a higher level of understanding. So then you can be more effective because you could change everything. And we keep saying that you because we're speaking to you, the individual. We're speaking to your entire planet, but we're talking to you because you're here and you're hearing it. And you wouldn't be hearing us unless it was you. And now we're saying this because it's individual as well. Your individual contribution is enormous. You may not have accessed that level of understanding or acceptance within yourself. That does not mean it's not true. We know that it's true. And again, we've had our messenger hold back forever, and he's done so many things in his life where no one understands what he's doing, and because he couldn't accept himself. That is all of you. When you can't accept yourself, then you start having all these other difficulties. But don't worry, because you all came to do something different. Our messengers was to bring in this work to help you do what you are meant to do. That's exactly what it is, and then you will do the same thing. Now he knows he's not going to live that long. He's going to be 75 in a little while. But he's done all the other things. So this is why he can say these things. He knows you don't have to suffer. He knows that you can accomplish anything because he had to go through it. And you're meant to understand that as well so that you can give it to others. We talk about this so much because some of you think that you're not responsible for the conditions of your world. And we're saying you are. You're responsible for the conditions of your life and your world because they are the same. It's just energy. That's all that it is. But again, it's the consciousness that needs to change and up level to come to that place of acceptance so you can know how brilliant you are. We already know it. This is why we keep telling you all the time because we know that eventually it kind of sinks in and you keep hearing us and you feel better. And that's what we wanted. And so, what we want to do is open up for questions. We want to attempt to answer as many questions as you might have. And so, please think of them now. Anything that's troubling you, anything that you would like to know, that's where we want to go. And we've poured so much out today. And he's been exhausted because we did so much of this because we really wanted you to know no matter what you are experiencing in your life at this moment, no matter what you are seeing in your world, it's nothing's gone wrong. It's just waiting for you to accept and actualize your true self. That is all. And so we will have Peyton read the questions to us, and then we will give you our best answers that we have now. Mm. And believe we believe are you using the chat to do that and sending the messages directly to Peyton?
First question is, how do we accept ourselves?
Thank you for that. That is the best one. And this is why we showed you. You do it daily. And this is why we don't want you to judge yourself. You're not going to do it all at once. You're not going to get there right away. So you do it daily. Now, it's something that if when you become diligent about it, this is why we've used your science. We want you to understand that. We've used your neuroscience because you've come to understand that a bit more. And we've used cognitive behavior training. And we gave you our 3 Ps. And those are practice, patience, and persistence. Meaning that if you're not experiencing something that you want in your life, you're not living the life that you want, you've been practicing thoughts incorrectly. That's all. You've just been practicing something that is limiting. And so then you have to stay persistent with it. You have to stay with it in terms of changing it. And then you have to be patient. Because what will happen is this as you start to rise to this higher level of understanding and consciousness, you will start to get upset with yourself, as our messenger has done. He goes through so much regret. He goes, why didn't I know this before? Why couldn't I have told them before? None of you know that before. So the regret, you're going to have that, but then let go of it and then take the next step. And then tomorrow you'll feel better. We're saying this is what we laid out our work in this way because we wanted you to see. He had to do it every single day. It's not something that just happens right away. You can't expect yourself to do that. So we gave you the message the other day about you wouldn't expect your kindergarten self to do mathematical feats that you haven't learned yet. You're always in process. Now, and we don't want you to make any distinctions about that, however, in terms of good, bad, right, or wrong, or who's more or less. None of that matters. It's only you. It's only your path. And you just take that next step on to acceptance of yourself. And then every day it gets better. And then you start to feel this momentum, meaning that that's the process of self-actualization. You start to know that you've developed this ability to use your consciousness to change it in any moment, to feel better in the instant. And then you start to become powerful. And that's what we wanted. We wanted you to become the most powerful beings on the entire planet. We had our messenger in the group last night revisit a message that he came up with, but we loved it so much. And it was called unhurtable. And we said that that word doesn't exist. There's no word unhurtable, but you can understand what it means. We wanted all of you to be at that place where you could no longer be hurt. And the only way you would do that is if you keep denying yourselves. That's all. So, to answer your question, every day. And that's what happens. Thank you.
Looking to understand the truth regarding so many of us having health and financial issues, when is this going to shift to the truth?
We planted you. We know it. It's today. It's changing today. And we're saying this because the minute you start to lay down the gauntlet, so to speak, and saying, I am worth something, this is why we called the message this session what we did. The world is waiting for you to accept your true self. Now, again, it's a process. But because you've had this life journey that you decided to be here now during this great change in your world, many of you suffered. You went through things earlier. You had losses, you had financial difficulties, you had illnesses, you had all sorts of things because you knew that if you could move through them, you would never have to repeat them again and then you could help others. Now, some of you will get that. But we want you to understand everything that felt terrible or difficult for you was you accepted it so that you could prove that it didn't mean anything. You could prove that it wasn't going to cause your life to be terrible once you got over it and you get over it in your consciousness. You just change your thinking about it, which is what we have you do all the time. You can look at any particular situation that you have gone through in your life or circumstance, whatever it might be, and find a new interpretation. And that's what you're all doing now. You're meant to anyway, because that's the only way you evolve. As we've said, you look at your world and you can see it doesn't look anything like it did 1,000 years ago, if you can think about that, or 500 years ago. Because whenever someone was living, they came up with new ways of doing something, new ways of understanding, new ways of accomplishing something. And we know sometimes that's really challenging for many of you, as it was for our messenger, because you don't believe it. He's gone through this because we use something. We want you to get this because you each will have this in your own way. When we gave you a message on February 19th of 2024, and we said accepting this message could change your life and the world, and all of you would look at that and say, that's not possible. And that's exactly what we wanted you to think, because we know that it is possible, because you can absolutely change your life. And if you did that, you change your world. It just depends on how many of you are going to do it. But then we did something else. We put it on Copernicus's birthday, because that's, if you go back in your history, you'll see that Copernicus discovered or realized the way that you could look at your world. And we're saying we gave you a new way to look at humanity, at humankind. We gave you an entirely new way. It had no judgment in it. It had none of that stuff in it. It just had all of you are worth something and you're here to do something. And so the now, so the more of you who today decide from this day forward, you're going to start honoring yourself. You're going to start realizing the energy of wealth and abundance that exists within you. And you just know that you just cut it off for a while because you knew it would be much more valuable if you could access it now. And you're going to have more help with that because the energies of your planets are being more conducive to that. Not right away. In the next few weeks, you'll see so much more of it. This is why we want you to keep moving. And that's why, again, we said tomorrow, you are still the solution. because many of you let go of that. We're saying tomorrow. We gave it to you last year. It's on 2024, but you can read it today and it would help you because you are still the solution. You just don't understand or accept that readily. And that is why your finances have been in peril. That is why your health has been limited. And it's just, and we're saying this because we had our messenger listen to several sessions we did years ago where we told him the same thing. So we're not judging you, and we don't want you to judge yourself because we told him he has to change. And that's why we wanted him to see how much he had accomplished, how much we had given him. It's the same for each of you. You have so much within you that you have no idea what that is. And so it doesn't allow you to have the feeling of abundance, which would bring in the wealth that you want to experience. You don't have the feeling of being enough because you haven't seen it. And now we're saying this because what happens is you move through your life and you accomplish things and you put them away and you never notice them. And so you don't build up that feeling internally of how valuable you are. And then you don't allow that to come into your lives or into your world. But also, we'll say this because many of you, the reason that is occurring, it's because of your lineage, your generational patterns that you're moving through now. You're all doing it. It's a global change. This is why we talked about the wealth and income disparity that has existed. And this is what you were meant to change, except many of you got hypnotized in a different way. You didn't do that yet. We gave that to you. We gave it to you just in our last full moon session that we did with you because we showed you what was going to happen about money. And it's only about consciousness again. But that consciousness you have formed from some other place that is always limited. And now is the time you can change it. Thank you for that. And so we're so glad that you brought that up because you spoke for so many who are feeling that same way right now. Because you all come to this place of recognition, and so now you've given them permission. So all of you will do it even more now. We said it'll be exponential. You'll see our message today. We told you that would happen if you start to understand how brilliant you are. And then you're going to start to magically, it feels that way, but it's not actually magic. It's just the law of science, which is what we wanted you to see in our messages that we put on the site, because it is a science that happens. Everything is energy. You just learn how to operate with it. And so you are going to do something that's going to be brilliant for you, and that's going to allow the wealth to come in. And now we've helped you let go of a little bit of your shame and embarrassment too, because we could feel that was there. And that's not necessary. You can let go of it. And the more you do that, you will see a shift in your body and more will start to come through, and then you'll be rich. We gave you that. And if you go to our site and just put in the word rich and just search and see what comes up, because we've given you all of that information. We wanted you to see it. Thank you.
How do I get through the awakening while getting resistance from family and friends who think I have changed?
You have a perfect setup. You're so brilliant. You put yourself in with that family. We've told you all this before, too, because they were going to give you the most resistance. And the resistance is what you wanted, you see, because you haven't trusted yourself. You didn't believe you were that much. And so you needed to have all these other people pushing against you or pushing back, showing you, no, you know, no. And then you get sick of that. And then you say, no, I'm going to own myself. Yes, I love you too. And you're wonderful. You're part of my blood family. You're part of that. But we're on different paths right now. And I know what mine is. I'm going to start owning that. And so then you're going to do that. And then you're going to turn around and look at them. And you're going to say, thank you so much for being my opposition. Because that's what you needed. You see, we gave you a message about that. And many of you will feel that now. We said you're being prepared. You were being prepared for this time in your life and in your world. And so all the things that you were moving through were preparation, meaning giving you the ability to own yourself, to become a more empowered, self-actualization, self-empowerment. That's what you wanted. And so all these other people just help you accomplish that. They don't know they're doing it because you all agreed to something before you came onto the physical plane. But that was the arrangement. And that arrangement is brilliant. And so thank you for bringing that up. And we want you to stop feeling out of place. We want you to stop being afraid of them. Because, see, the other thing is you're feeling that if you really express and own who you are, just like our messenger has done for many years with his family as well, so we do understand. But you feel that if you accept who you are becoming and these new places that you're starting to understand, that somehow they're going to judge you or feel bad about you, that's none of your business. That is none of your business. All you're meant to do is just say thank you so much for showing me the contrast, showing me the difference. And I love you so much, and now I get to be my joyful self. Thank you.
I have had an amazing summer filled with creativity and have been at my happiest. This is how I want to spend my time and share my gifts,
Mm.
yet still waiting for the monetization. Am I still resisting subconsciously? I was told the 222 number is one of faith. So is that the missing sauce?
It's well, yes. That's all for all of you. It's always, but again, we don't want you to judge yourself. We just love the fact that you have that awareness. See, because you figured that out and you know you've been doing all the other work and you've been doing it for a long time as well. And so now is the time where it comes into fruition for you. And we've said this before, and we had our messenger hear this because more of you are starting to say it now, and you'll get it. And we said that you will finally come to understand what it meant the meek shall inherit the earth. Because that's how many of you felt so much of your lives that you were these weaklings and you weren't enough, or you were too sensitive, or you were too, all of those. And that is the valuable thing that you wanted to embody now. And so as you begin doing that, you'll see this shift that starts to happen within you. It has nothing to do with what's happening out there. It has nothing to do with the others. It's just about you. And so now you're seeing that everything that's been put in front of you is going to start to blossom as you so lovely, so brilliantly said, the acceptance, the faith, the acceptance. If you could do nothing else but to sit all day with that and just meditate into having the light of abundance come into you, it would change things. Because again, it's just energy. But you'll also find your resistance in that because it's not a normal place for you to be. It's not a place you've become accustomed to. Many of you have become accustomed to suffering, you see, and you've carried it on for most of your lives, not maybe even beyond this lifetime. But now is the time, and we're saying this because there are definite times where things shift, and we've laid so much out for you. And as you read the messages again, you will see where shifts happened in your world that we were giving you the energetic, emotional correspondence to that could have you reach a higher state of understanding of yourself. And the more of you who do that, you see a very different world and you'll see a very different life. Now, but for you, we just we can feel where you are. And we want to tell you that at this moment, you are in the best place ever. You've done the work. You've waited. You've suffered. You've just been waiting for it to come about. And we're saying now is the time that it's coming about. And all we want you to do every single day is to keep knowing that. And you have to keep knowing it deliberately. If it takes doing affirmations, if it takes your meditation where you're affirming that over and over, that's what we want you to do because you've done it. Now it's just a manifestation. You can't see the blockages. None of you can see those blockages. We gave you one of those before. You can't see your limitations, you see, because they're felt. And so if you take the time to go inward and just decide, I'm deliberately going to release these chains I've put on myself, because that's what you've all done. No one is holding you back but you. That's all. But it's also something you agree to. So this dance that you're going to do is about recognizing that you've held yourselves back in whatever form that is taken for you, but then also at the same time forgive yourself and accept the brilliance that you did that for a reason so that you could come alive and become abundant and happy now. That's what you're all doing. Just in different ways. So thank you.
How do you stay in alignment on a continuous basis when day after day you encounter family or peers or coworkers who are angry, frustrated, and stressed out?
They called you for now you know your job. You're there to be the beacon. You're there to be the light. And you couldn't do that unless you saw all of these people who are operating in these unhealthy ways, so to speak, and or who are angry, who are all of those things, which is why we've given you so many messages about that. And you're going to see that in your world. You're going to see so many people who are angry, and you're going to see so many people who are going to blame everyone else for their experience. And that's because they were waiting for you to show up to show them a different way. And we know it's been challenging for you because you're looking at it and you're feeling, I'm here all alone. You are not. We are here with you. And this is why we've been giving you everything. And this, you hear, we had our messenger go through this again. Because he had to go through his judgment. He heard a session from 3 years ago where we said, we want you to bring people together so they don't feel so all alone. And then he starts feeling guilty. Wait a minute, I haven't done enough. I wasn't owning it. I wasn't putting it out there. You've all done that. But now is the time you can change it. We're saying this because we can't say this enough or often enough. The energies now are going to be conducive for you all to change this if you stay on the path. Now, we have shown you, and we've talked about it, we've had him talk about it so much. He did our work every single day. He couldn't leave his home until he sat down and received something. That's how he accumulated all of this. That's how it started to work. But he suffered through everything. And so this we said to him, please give that up and appreciate what you have and now get paid for it. That's what we're saying to all of you. We told him, we said it so many times before, now he can get paid for it, but he needed proof. Many of you need that. You need some sort of proof. We're giving it to you today. Because again, when you read the messages that we've put on the site today, both put two entries up. When you read all of them, you will see that it's a progression that you move through over time, over your linear time. We just didn't give it to you that way. But now you have the access to it. So please just understand this situation. We know that it's challenging, but we want you to start looking at those family members with love because they're helping you. You call them in. You set them up in front of you because you wanted to become empowered. You wanted to have self-confidence. You wanted to love yourself, and they're helping you to accomplish that. And the moment you change your attitude and can look at them not with disdain, but with, oh, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for showing me the other side of who I could become. And now I get to demonstrate that. And so eventually, many more of you will pick up on that as well. And that's what you're doing. You're all becoming the examples for everyone else. And that means that you have to decide you're going to be happy. You're going to decide you're going to become yourself, which is why we said the world is waiting for you to accept your true self. Thank you.
How is the energy of the Lionsgate portal galvanizing our life purpose?
Well, think about it. Think about what a lion means. A Leo. You're in the Leo season, and every year it's the same thing. This repeats because it's a different kind of energy. You see, because what happens is that you don't think that you're enough most of the time. You don't think you have this power. You don't think you're the lioness. You don't think you could be that regal. And we're saying you are. And so you don't get there right away. This is why your planets repeat. They come back around to give you another chance, another opportunity. Except we will say this one is a little different, though, because this is much more powerful. You've not put these planets together quite in this configuration before. None of you have. You couldn't have known that. We did, which is why we're giving you the things we have. But we're saying it's just now the time for all of you, including our messenger. He has to change as well. You're all doing it. And so don't judge yourself. Just appreciate that this is the moment you decided to be on the planet to do something wonderful. And the way that it's going to happen is when you decide that you are that valuable, that you have worth, and that you're going to love yourself. But it does take working through all the other stuff that you've told yourself for many, many years. You see, that's why we go back to our 3 Ps. You can change anything when you use them. Thank you.
I keep seeing 1111 in many places throughout each day. How is this significant?
Because it's just the universe, your higher self, God, however you think of it, is saying, yes, you're on the right path, you're awakening, you're paying attention, and we're just going to keep showing it to you until you start to believe. That's exactly what it is. Many of you would not know this has happened several years ago because we had that happen for our messenger. He was just so freaked out that he decided to make a demonstration of. He does this with everything though. So what he did was he took his phone and he said, "I'm going to walk around. I'm going to take pictures of every time I'm seeing it," because he was seeing it everywhere on the TVs, on the clocks, it was everywhere. And we said, "Okay, we're done now. You've gotten it." And so that's what's going on for you. How did that feel? You've been recognizing it. And that's why we're so glad that you acknowledge it and that you're noticing it. And you're going to have more of it. And then you're just going to say, wow, that's great. Now, and it's going to feel different for you now. Because when you see it now, you're going to say, oh, great, this is who I am. Oh, wow, I can accept myself a little bit more now. I'm part of the universe. I'm part of what's coming in and bringing in this new world. I was a chosen one. We love that one. See, our messenger couldn't use that, but we know that you all are. We've given you that. We wrote an article about it many years ago because we know you all are. You wouldn't be here unless you were chosen. But because of being chosen, it's been a little challenging. But we're saying you did it for a great reason and it was meant to happen now. And so the Lion's Gate is that energy again that gives you the more fortitude to start to use it and use it in your life to start to remember who you are. And that's what we're saying to all of you. You're remembering. You're never lost in your lives. You just pick different paths, different things you're moving through. But the essence of you, we always say that you're eternal spiritual beings. So you've always been here. You just choose different incarnations to move through things, to understand things. But this is a great one, a big one that you chose. And we're glad you did. So you'll see it coming about real, real soon. Thank you.
I know that I am meant to write a book. I'm feeling a pressure to write it, but I know that it's meant to be written with my divine counterpart, but they're not in my 3D yet. Do I
Mhm.
work on the outline and write my parts, or do I make the book a solo teaching memoir? My soul really wants to write the book with my divine counterpart because I know our story together is more impactful, but I'm not sure if I'm meant to write it alone about just my own story or write my parts and wait for them to come into my 3D reality to finish the book with me, which is what I prefer.
We love that question so much. We can't thank you enough for that question because you're making this separation and your higher self is sitting there, your counterpart is sitting there and saying, would you please start? That's all that's going on. And you're making these distinctions because the communication is happening all the time. It's one and the same. And as you start working on it, you will see that it starts to come through. It'll start to merge because you can't, they're not separate from you. It's just that you have made this thing in your life. And many of you have done this where you think there's someplace I've got to get to, I've got to understand. No, you just have to start because once you become uncomfortable with the practice, you will see that your higher self, your guides, or however you think of it, they're going to keep urging you on. They're just going to say, okay, now we have more information for you. Oh, great, now you did that. But they're waiting for you to take the initiative. No one, they can't interfere in your life. They come to assist you, you see. But then they don't want you to be, you know, um, dependent on that. They want you to understand that it's an assistance, but you have to have the initiative. Otherwise, you don't know that you've accomplished anything. You would never know that this life experience that you're having, this physical life, you would never know if you accomplish anything if you're sitting around waiting for some other magical being to come around and push you. Now, we know that you're feeling the pressure that is coming from them. And what they're saying is, please just start. You don't have to have it figured out. You're not going to know. None of you know. That's why we had to pull our messenger. He was just he he was it was really challenging because he thought he was going to say, am I going blind? We said, no, we just want you to see. And then he saw the message that we had in that string of messages says, please open your eyes. That's for all of you, and that's for you. We want you to open your eyes to seeing that the nudging, the feeling that you have, that's your higher self, your guides saying to you, please just start writing because you're saying, I don't have enough. And you've been doing that for a long time. And they don't want you to live in that place anymore. They just want you to start, and they're going to be there to support you. Because once you start, you're going to see all this other information is going to start coming in, and you're going to see how it melds together. That's what's going to happen. But we're so glad that you have that awareness that you're at least having the feeling, because that's the first part of it. You'll feel nudged. A lot of you have gone through that recently, especially. You felt uncomfortable. You don't know what's going on. It's because it's about taking that next step. Oh, so thank you. And we're so looking forward to that book because it's going to be brilliant and it's going to be yours. It's going to come out the way that you're supposed to do it, and you're going to put those characters that you've been separating in your brain, you're going to put them together. And then you're going to tell others, this is what how I did it. I started separating things and I came to understand that what I was doing was disconnecting from myself and I was waiting for something else to show up instead of starting. And I don't want the rest of you to do that. That's why I'm writing the book. We just gave you your opening. Thank you.
Years ago, I had an experience in which it was early morning and I was on the edge of sleep and I was laying on my stomach, so I couldn't see much, but the room seemed to light up and I heard singing like it was angels singing. I
Mhm.
was afraid to turn around, so I didn't see the source of light. Can you expand on what that was and what is the relevance of this experience today?
We'll say that you already know. You've just been feeling. You just didn't want to say the word. So we're glad that you were able to come here and write it so that you can understand. You were being accept. You were accessing a higher state of consciousness, and your higher self and your guides were allowing you to do that. And that is how it feels. It feels light. It feels. Many of you will have those things. Our messenger used to have. He would be walking through his home and he would hear music. Where's this lovely angelic music coming from? And nothing was playing. And then he would walk through it other times, and there was just this sweet smell. He goes, "Where is that coming from?" And there was no physical place for it to be there. And he was looking for it, just like you didn't want to turn around. The reason you didn't want to turn around and look is because there was awareness in you that you had reached another state of understanding, and you just weren't accepting it quite yet. That's all. But that was what was going on. And so now you're going to have more of it once you start to appreciate it and just accept it and just anticipate them coming about at other times. But see, that had to catch you off guard while you were lying on your bed because that's what many of you have to be caught in positions where you're not paying attention and then this other information comes in. So that was wonderful. But also we're going to say this because we know that it's true. You knew this. You knew this. You just weren't willing to acknowledge it, but you're that perceptive, you're that intuitive, and that's going to start growing and coming about even more now. Thank you.
My project is moving forward within the government, yet I'm getting this energy of others trying to take the lead, credit, etc.
Mhm.
Similarly to what happened before. Why is this energy coming up again?
Because that's what you're all doing now. We love that. Thank you. You've placed, and you're going to see this all over your world too. So we're so glad that you brought that up. We wanted more of you to experience autonomy, but you're going to have those in power who have been used to having power and they want to hold on to it. And that's not the shift that's meant to be happening in your world or in your lives right now. So there are those of you who have been used to giving away your power for so long, not in this life necessarily, or not what you may have done, but it may be your lineage, your family, your ancestors, where they did that and they couldn't achieve it. And so now it's up to you. And you don't want the government to take over what you're doing. So you're finding a way to say, "Oh, thank you so much for what you're trying to offer, but I need to do this on my own. And I'm going to embody myself and I'm going to do it this way." And we had our messenger see something so wonderful the other night, which was obviously just for you because he doesn't. This is so wonderful. We're just going to give it to you because he happened to flip on Shark Tank. You've all seen that show where they're presenting things, and so man, it's all about the money. You see. They say if we give these people money, we can control them, and then they'll figure out how much percentage, how much are we going to own from you, how much, and all of that. And there were these two people there who had this wonderful project. They'd already made money, so but they wanted the sharks because that's what they are. You're seeing this in your world right now, so we love this analogy so much. And the sharks want to keep holding on to it. They said, "No, we think we have something that's so much more valuable that we're not going to give ourselves away anymore. We're not going to allow that to continue in our consciousness. And that's what you're doing. So we're so glad that you're aware of it. And we want you to become so much stronger. We want you to hold on to it. We don't want you to make any enemies from this because that's not going to help you. That energy is never helpful. We just want you to have love for them because they've acknowledged that you have something that is so valuable. We just want you to own it. And then you make the decisions, how you want it to come out, how you want it to be presented, who you want to participate with you, or whatever it might be. It's your time of empowerment. It's for all of you. We want you to understand that. What you're seeing in your world is a constant shifting of power. And that is why you're here to shift it within yourselves, to know that you are the most powerful person in your life. And as you can own that, you're going to start to shift your life and then help shift your world because that's what it's asking for, which is why we said again, the world needs you to accept your true self. And that's what you're doing. Thank you.
I'm waiting on more questions.
Oh, great. We, we want to say thank you while they're coming in. We want to say this to each of you. Um, in your own little world, let's say this, what is occurring right now is that you're finding all these little things coming up within you that are saying, please take the next step in accepting who you are. Please take the next step in embodying your importance. Please take the next step in changing your consciousness from one of being a victim to being a victor. That's what all of you are doing right now. And it's going to be so powerful the more of you do it because you'll be coming from love. Not everyone is doing it. That's one of the messages we gave you also today, and in the string saying you came to be love. And you're looking at your world and you're seeing so many others who are not exemplifying that, who are not demonstrating that. So we want you to demonstrate it by first giving it to yourselves. That's where it's the most important. That's where it matters. We could have possibly answered all your questions. If that's the case, we're grateful because that would mean that nothing else is coming to you right now because we kind of stopped you. We kind of, wait a minute. Oh, you mean I can do this? You mean I can become this person? I just have to take these steps? We're saying yes. That's with each of you. And we're going to say this again because we're going to have our messenger put it out because he couldn't own this before. This is why we had to stop him. And we wanted all of you to take these different stances in your life. We told him, we've given him everything that could change anyone's life and change your world. And we know that's true because you're all humans. You all operate in the same way, but you all come in with the same limitations and restrictions. And they're all old. And they're all from your ancestors or something else that came before. And so what we did was we took him through all of that. We said, you have to look at all these things that have been weighing you down in your consciousness that you've inherited, that you kept holding on to because you couldn't believe yourself. You couldn't even do this because this was too weird and strange for you. That's what we told him. And we told him, we want you to demonstrate more because many of you are hiding, especially those in the spiritual world, are hiding from putting it out there. Oh, we can't talk about these things. We're going to be judged. We told him, let go of that. You're all consciousness. And so you have to reach a higher state. And what we did, we gave you something where we transcended even all of your religious beliefs. We said they may be wonderful and you've had them, and that's great. But we want you to know that none of that matters right now. It's just how much you're going to love yourself. Doesn't matter what was going on before. As long as your particular religion or whatever thing you followed is about loving yourself, then it's great. But if you're going to find separation, if you're going to find hatred, if you're going to find judgment, if you're going to find blame, it's going to hold you back. And it's not what you wanted. You each came to offer your essence, meaning actualizing who you could become. That's why you're here. This is your life, and we wanted you to have a really great one because we knew that would make your world great as well. That's what's occurring now.
So the more we love ourselves, the more the shift will happen to the higher consciousness.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But again, You know that it's challenging. You know that it's difficult because you'll get up and you'll judge yourself, but that's all right. Now we want you to shift it though. We want you not to be afraid of it. We want you to look at it and we have you become aware. This is what awareness and mindfulness is to start to notice when you're having those thoughts come into you that somehow say, I am not important. I am not enough. I don't matter. Those are erroneous thoughts and you've picked them up somewhere and you're here now to move beyond them. And that is the process of loving yourself. And it's one that you will do every single day and you never get it done. You never end it because as long as you're in physical form, there's going to be more that you can ascend to. There's going to be more that you can accept. There'll be more that you will understand because it's all in consciousness. And then you decide how long you want to stay in physical form. We talk about that because, again, you could change all of that. None of you have to die or leave your physical bodies, unless that's your choice. But while you're still here, that means that you have more that you can do if you don't give up on yourselves. And that's what we wanted you to understand, especially today. We're saying this because it's challenging for many of you to accept this. However, and the only reason it's challenging because you haven't understood your importance individually. So then it's a little difficult to think that there could be this importance that becomes exponentially um, greater the more of you who do it. But we're saying that is what will happen. And that's what you are here to do now. And we're saying you because you're saying, we know many of you are looking at things, you go, what is happening with all these other people? Why are they acting this way? Why are we don't get it? And we said this years ago. We said you're going to see things occurring in your world that you're going to say you're going to use the word unprecedented so many times that you won't be able to keep track. That's because this is the biggest change your civilization, your world has ever experienced. And you decided to be here for it, which means, again, you have something wonderful within you that's just waiting to be developed to bring to the world. And you're doing it and you're doing incrementally. You're doing it day by day. So again, we don't want this is that balance again because you're going to go through it every day. You're going to judge yourself a little bit, but then you're going to take that next step. And if you can stay on that path, that's going to be the best one because you're always moving through limitations. There's there's no reason that you have to have the conditions in your world that you do right now, except not enough of you are willing to own who you are and believe in your importance. That's all. Look at how long it took our messenger to tell you all of this, to own what he's done, and he's healed everything in that sense. And many of the things that you're going through what we have given him. And it's been said many, many times. Many of you didn't hear it. Many of you wouldn't believe it. We can say this because you can go back and listen to the older recordings and hear that we said it over and over again. But he couldn't hear it either, which is why we did what we did today, or over the last couple of days, had him put up all those messages to see that you each are integral. Your energies are shaping your world. It just depends on how. And the energy of love is a higher vibration that will make things come out wonderfully in your life and both in your world. So just the shift of the balance. As we've said, your world has been off balance for the longest time, which is why we came in and brought you a new philosophy. We said it's your life operating instructions because you can't keep doing what you were doing and expect your world to survive. That's why we told you about your weather events because you think that you're not doing anything with that. And now you're seeing what's happening, but you can still change it because everything is occurring and happening in the now. So every moment that you can take to come back into alignment with who you are, that's going to be the greatest contribution you can make to your life and also to your planet. We want you to understand that because you are doing it. And we will give you more, but that's what we wanted to give you. Thank you. We
That
want to say yes.
that seems to be all for now.
Okay. Okay. We're going to give you this. And this is going to be the biggest thing that we want you all to take, and we want you to take it from this session, which is why we made it so loaded for you, so powerful. You could change the world. Think about that. You could change the world. You, the person that you are, because you could decide that every day I'm going to develop more of my ability. I'm going to develop more of my strength. I'm going to develop more of my courage, more of my empowerment, and I'm going to develop my ability to project energy and control energy. I'm going to do all those things. And the more that I do it, I will see it coming off in others picking it up, and they're going to change. And then eventually the world's going to change. And the only reason it won't happen is because I couldn't accept myself. That's all. And we want each of you to accept that because it's true for each of you. And this is why we said we've given you a new philosophy. It's not one that says that some of you are less than another. Some of you don't have any talent or ability. That's never true. It's just something that you've perpetuated and given to one another over eons, over civilizations. And this is the time that you're meant to change that. This is why you picked this time to be alive. This is why it's so dynamic. Many of you call it chaotic. We call it dynamic because we know that it'll motivate you to love yourself and to be remember who you are. And then the world will see the real you, that self that you wanted to bring forth. That's what we know is happening now. We believe, have we answered all the questions?
Yes, no more questions.
Right, perfect. Now, we want you to sit in this energy for the rest of your day, whenever you might hear this. We're saying that because it won't matter when you hear it. When you hear this, again, those of you who are here who will hear it later, it will be the right time. And we're saying this because we want you to understand you're always in the right place. You just have to stop sometimes and pay attention and allow your consciousness to accept to the higher part of you, which is always available. It's just that you won't always listen. But if you make it a practice, you get better and stronger. And this is what we wanted you to understand today. And you'll see that the message that we had on the site, other than the one we gave you with the change, but we gave you a one earlier where we said you can heal your lives and the world because we want you to understand they are the same thing. And we love you all so very much. And we will send this replay to all of you because we really want you to listen to it and embody it and start to become the person you were meant to be. And we love you so much. Mm.